Dallas Cowboys edge rusher Sam Williams has not had a big role in the defense this year. Is that going to change after the bye week? All that and more in this episode of the Locked On Cowboys podcast.
You are Locked On Cowboys, your daily Dallas Cowboys podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked on Cowboys. Locked on Cowboys.
Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL, all lowercase, for a first deposit match up to $100. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcus_Mosher. Joining me today, as always, is Landon McCool. You can follow him on Twitter at McCoolBCB. We are answering your Twitter questions today. And Landon, we've got some really, really good ones. So let's just jump right into it. First question from Lone Star. He wants to know, Sam Williams, after 6 games, how does he look? He was a big breakout candidate before the year, but hasn't really shown up yet. What's the reason?
Yeah, I mean, I think your eyes are right. So far this season, he has 1 sack on 5 hurries, and that's not nearly obviously the rate that we were seeing him produce last season. I don't really have a reason, I guess, here. I mean, I know that he missed a good portion of missed some part of training camp with a shoulder strain, so it was kind of felt like we were kind of seeing him in and out of the lineup at different points. And, obviously the off-field stuff happened, but I don't know how much that actually is having an effect on his play.
None. At least it shouldn't.
I just think that, he's struggling to produce. I mean, he's just struggling. Look, there's a lot of players playing ahead of him that are playing very well, and it's tough to stand out on limited snaps. I mean, his snaps have dropped precipitously as these games have gone on. I mean, he started out playing, I think, 35 total snaps, and he hasn't broken more than 20 since.
Well, and I think a little bit that has to do with the game scripts, right? Like the Giants-Cowboy game got out of hand so quickly that the Cowboys were able to use multiple defensive linemen. You're right, though. I'm looking at the pass rush snaps of the last 4 weeks, 7, 11, 6, 9.
Yeah, and, it's not like they've been deploying him out there the same way that they did last year. I mean, clearly they feel like they're getting diminishing returns here. So he's in a spot where he got onto the field last year because he was able to produce at high efficiency rates on low snap counts, right? Like the fact that he only got into mix in for 5 or 10 snaps last year, but was able to produce on those snaps. That's the reason he kind of earned more snaps. Now he kind of came in with that assumption that he, was deserved 36 snaps or that sort of count, and not able to produce nearly at that same rate. So his snap counts have gone down, and he hasn't done much to kind of counteract that. You've seen penalties, you've seen a lot of negative plays, not a lot of negative plays, but negative plays, and you've seen very few kind of positive plays from him that you saw last year. So I don't know the reason. Maybe it's sophomore slump. Maybe it's, a combination of just an off season and a weird kind of start to the year for him. And maybe it's just exposure. Maybe it's just the fact that all these other guys are playing really good football right now. And he's just not getting his chance,
And that was going to be my point. It's, if you're complaining about the snap counts, who should see a decrease in snap counts to get Sam Williams on the field? Micah Parsons is already playing a ton of snaps. Now you could potentially try to lessen his snaps. DeMarcus Lawrence has actually seen a pretty big decrease in snaps from last year. Dorrance Armstrong is healthy and playing well, and this is the best that we've seen Dante Fowler look. So of those 4 players ahead of him, who are you taking snaps from?
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, like, I don't even know. The issue to me with Sam Williams is not that I feel like he needs more snaps. Is he needs to play better on the snaps that he's being provided, and then we can worry about whose snaps he's taking away. But
I was gonna say,
Go ahead.
even at the same time, Dante Fowler is not playing a ton either. Look at Dante Fowler
But he's
snaps over the
producing,
last.
right? Yeah.
Well, he is, but here's Dante Fowler snaps each of the last 5 games: 15, 15, 17, 13, 11. Now he's producing a little bit better than Sam Williams, but when Parsons and Lawrence and Armstrong are just playing this many snaps, and you have better defensive tackle play than you had last year, so you don't have to kick as many guys in to play. On pass rushing downs,
That's a
you
good
can leave
point.
Osa in there. You can play more Gallimore. You can play Golston. There's just not as many edge snaps out there as there was last year.
Yeah, because I mean, ultimately now it's not even. You're right. It's not even necessarily like it's just Sam Williams against Dante Fowler. Some of Sam Williams' snaps were coming because they were having to kick in those defensive ends
Marcus
to play
Lawrence.
tackle, like you
Yep.
just said. So now that that's not happening as much, there's just less, opportunity for that part of the rotation. And again, the difference in production in Fowler and Sam Williams may not be a lot, but it's enough that that's why Sam Williams is getting more of those snaps that Dante Fowler is getting more of those snaps than Sam Williams. So yeah, I think, it's tough because he's not playing a ton. And last year he was producing at a rate that even playing at those snaps, you noticed him more. And now we're only noticing him, unfortunately, when he's, getting a penalty of some sort or something stupid's happening.
If I could talk to Sam Williams, what I would tell him is just stay ready. We have 11 games straight without a bye week coming up, including the playoffs, assuming the Cowboys make there. And you've got a lot of games that are right in a row. You've got that really dreaded stretch where it's 3 games in 12 days or whatever it is. There's going to be injuries. Guys are going to get worn down. You're going to have an opportunity to play a lot more snaps, but you can't pout. You can't go to social media and complain about, not getting the amount of work. Stay ready because the Cowboys are going to need you at some point in the season, probably later in the year when they're really, really going to need some, extra edge rush help.
Yeah. I mean, again, you just got to stay patient. Your chance is going to come, but at the same time, he's got to improve. He's got to play
earn it.
that he has. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We've got some other questions, including what does Mazi Smith look like after the first 6 games of his career? We will get to that next. This episode is brought to you by Jase Medical. There is a lot of uncertainty in the world today, and it's important to be prepared. The Jase case is a personalized emergency medication kit that contains 5 essential antibiotics that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. You can also now customize your case and add additional life-saving medications based on your unique needs. The Jase case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. All it takes to get a Jase case is fill out a simple form online. And in some cases, you can just jump on a quick call and get one of our certified physicians on board with it. Get ongoing care from the physicians on any treatment-related questions. Doctor created, doctor recommended. Don't get caught unprepared. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. Jase will handle everything from the online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. Go to jasemedical.com and enter promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for a $20 discount on your order. That is promo code LOCKEDON at jasemedical.com. We also want to let you know that the show is brought to you by FanDuel. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That is $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get on the action, especially if you're a Cowboys fan, right? We've got football this Sunday. You're going to want to sit back and enjoy the games with the Cowboys not playing and being on a bye week. Go to FanDuel, sign up for an account, and bet on the games this week. There's the game lines, obviously, you can bet on. There's player props. There's over-unders. I love all the same game parlays that FanDuel offers. I love the future bets. You can go bet on the Cowboys to win the NFC East or win the NFC this year. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and kick off the NFL season with FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast. We want to let you know that football season is here. You guys know that, but Locked On is kicking up our coverage with Locked On NFL Kickoff Live. Each Friday, Locked On will go live at 2 p.m. Eastern on every Locked On NFL YouTube channel. Hosts Anitra Batiste, Jarvis Davis, and Kyle Krabs We'll break down every game on the NFL slate to get you ready for your team's matchup, your fantasy lineups, your betting angles, and so much more. Plus, get the in-depth local analysis from our stable of NFL hosts across the country who know these teams better than anyone else. Find Locked On NFL Kickoff live every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on any Locked On NFL YouTube channel. Landon, let's get to some more questions. We've got a really good one here on Mazi Smith. A couple people disappointed what we've seen from Mazi. This one from @KevinPaul, Texas. He wants to know, are we seeing progression from Mazi? I know his position doesn't always light up the stats, but I was hoping for a couple more wow moments after 6 games.
I mean, I saw a couple wow moments, I felt like, last week. There was definitely a couple get-offs that he had that he was by far the first person off the snap. The improvement there has been noticeable each week. I think he's gotten better as the season has gone on. And I think that last week was his best game by far. And I think that the interesting thing is that the usage there is different than we all expected. I mean, I think that's the thing that has really surprised me, is that obviously you draft a guy like this in the thought that, he's going to be a kind of exclusively a one technique, a guy that's living in the A gaps. But according to PFF alignment snap counts, he's played only 15 snaps in the A gap and 75 snaps in the B gap. So basically he's been essentially a 3 technique this time. So I think that's a lot has to do with special alignments and how they're attacking the offensive lines in question. But I feel like, especially, look, the run defense stuff, we kind of have an idea where he is. He's physical. He can push guys back. He has been good about taking on double teams, but not exactly world beating yet. But that has also improved. I think the area where he's really, really shown a lot is as a pass rusher. I think the last 3 games specifically, he's really shown an ability to kind of get off the ball a little bit better. And he's seen that in the sense that he earned more pass rushing opportunities in this last game and was okay. He doesn't have a sack yet. He has probably, 1 hurry or something like that. But the point of the fact is that he's, like we've talked about, he is a guy that plays a position that is very difficult to play early on. I mean, I think you're seeing that with a lot of these other defensive tackles as well, not named Jalen Carter. And then I think that we've saw stuff last week that really marked a level of play better than I feel like we've seen him play previously. So I'm excited. I'm based on what I saw against the Chargers, I'm really excited to see exactly where he ends up by the end of the year, because I think that, if he can kind of get some consistency and the growth has been about consistently doing the technique correctly. That's where the growth is a consistency on snap in, snap out of getting off the ball properly, not being the last person off the ball, seeing it correctly. And I think that's really been the big thing with him, is not only just seeing the snap, getting off the snap really well, but having a level of awareness, like in, mid snap, where the ball is going, where he needs to go, playing athletically and not just kind of getting frozen and stopping, and not sure what to do. We see him playing through the whistle, continuing to pursue, using his athleticism in a way that makes me feel like he's more confident in what he's doing. He understands what he's doing a lot better. So to answer the question, yeah, there's definitely been growth. There's definitely been improvement. Is it as fast as we all would want? Of course not. But I mean, our expectation is that a first-round pick needs to come in here and be great right away. And that's not necessarily the case for all first-round picks and all defensive tackle first-round picks and all, folks that come into the league the same way. This is the 23rd or whatever, 27th overall pick versus the 10th or 15th overall pick. So, but I think as far as our expectation of where he should be and where he's going, I think he's on track for the most part.
Yeah, shameless plug here a little bit. I just wrote an article on Mazi for the 33rd team, and I mentioned the fact that the last 3 first-round picks for the Cowboys all came in and had fantastic rookie seasons, whether it was CeeDee Lamb in 2020, Micah Parsons in 2021, or Tyler Smith in 2022. Those guys all came in and played important positions and played well in their rookie year. Mazi's growth has just been a little bit slower. To a degree, I kind of agree with Kevin here a little bit. I think I was hoping for a few more splash plays, like whether it's a a run stop on 3rd and 1 where he just bullies the center back into the line. It makes a stop or whatever. We haven't seen a ton of those.
But I will argue back that the production, it's not like we're not seeing that, and also they aren't stopping the run. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure, they've been better at stopping the run the last couple of weeks.
Even a lot better.
Yeah, even the 49ers game, they gave up a lot of yards, but in the first 3 quarters when it was mainly Christian McCaffrey, they did not run the ball particularly well. So I will give Mazi some credit there. I was hoping for a couple more individual splash plays rather than he's been a good part of a good defense at stopping the run, but I was hoping to see more of him doing it by himself rather than his team.
I think we've seen him produce. I don't know. Let me rephrase that. I think we've seen him be a part of splash plays that other people ended up getting credit for, that not in the negative way, like just in a sense that like
they were the one who made the tackle.
He created a disruption, and someone else made the tackle for loss, or that sort of thing. So I don't disagree in the sense that we haven't had a signature Mazi play that you could point to at this point of the year. But I do think that that's coming, and I think I've seen snaps that the production that he had on that snap could have produced a splash play if the play ran his way or that sort of thing. So I think we will see this, and it will continue to get more because I am seeing improvement, and it is marked each week.
And it does seem like the Cowboys are open to bringing up his role. The first 3 weeks of the season, we saw him play 39 combined snaps. Over the last 2 weeks, 40 snaps, and those are against really good teams, the 49ers and the Chargers. So it does seem like there is at least a little bit of confidence in Mazi Smith to increase his role. I want to see what it looks like out of the bye week. Like, is he getting to 23 to 24 snaps a game? Because right now, his highest snap game was against the 49ers at 22. I think the goal here, if they could get him up to like consistently 23 to 25 snaps a game, I think I would be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, and I think that's a healthy goal for him to get to, and again, producing at that rate, producing at 23 snaps a game.
So if you had to give him a grade for the first 6 weeks of the season, what would you give him?
I mean, it feels incomplete, just because he's not played a ton of snaps. But I would say, based on his play, like a B- maybe. I think it's fine. I mean, it's. He's not getting you killed. That's the thing.
No, he's not.
It's not like he's out there getting you killed at times. He's just he's either a net neutral or only a slight positive or only a slight negative. We need to kind of stretch the outcomes there.
Let me ask you this. Outside of Osa Odigizua, has he been your second best interior defensive lineman this season?
I think Jonathan Hankins has played really well this year.
I know. Me too.
That's the thing.
I would say
that's
Hankins
not a slight on Mazi, right? Like
I would say Hankins too.
Yeah, I think Hankins has just played very, very well so far this year and is healthy. So I would say it's Hankins, but I would say that Mazi's played better than Gallimore. Which, I mean,
we're gonna be nice.
What? Real quick, I would say that Golson and him are probably producing at similar levels, and that's honestly they're completely different types of players, and they're producing in different ways. But I think that's a comparison. They're both the third defensive tackles in this team.
All right, let's talk about the weakest positional group on the Cowboys. I got a feeling it's not interior defensive lineman for you, Landon. We will get to that next. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, all you have to do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. I absolutely love PrizePicks for a ton of reasons. My favorite is all the different stats and players that you can choose from. You can pick tackles for linebackers or sacks for edge rushers or rushing yards for wide receivers. It's so much fun. I can't even begin to explain to you how much fun I've had this year playing it. The other thing that I really like about PrizePicks is their reboot policy, which will reboot your entry. It'll stay in play even if one of your players gets injured for NFL and college football top 25 matchups. If you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second half, that player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with injury insurance. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. We also want to let you know about DoorDash. We absolutely love DoorDash. I use DoorDash, man, at least once, twice, maybe 3 times a week. It's just so convenient. I love it for football season because, you know, if we're having guests over, we can just DoorDash some pizza, some wings. We've done burgers in the last couple of weeks, all delivered to your house without missing the game. All of your favorite restaurants and stores from retail to grocery are all on the app, so you can shop everything you need to get game day ready. Get prepared before game day. Stock up on your favorite appetizers and order all of your tailgate gear on DoorDash, and then get ready to watch your team win. Get 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter promo code LOCK23, subject to change, terms apply. Again, that is 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter promo code LOCK23, subject to change, terms apply. All right, welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast. We've got one more Twitter question here from Kevin. He wants to know, what has been the weakest and the strongest positional groups so far on the roster?
Well, they played a really great game last week, so it's tough for me to say this, but it's hard not to think that the linebackers are the group, right?
Just
like
so inexperienced.
Yeah, there's just so much inexperience. I mean, I have really strong hopes for them, and I like both of these young players a lot. And obviously, with Leighton being hurt, it puts a lot of strain on them. There's some depth questions that, you know, obviously are going to come up. But
well, I mean, you think about it, the Cowboys have already lost the number 1 linebacker, maybe their number 2 linebacker, and at least their number 4 linebacker in Devin Harper, because they decided to get a little cute there.
Yeah. You know, I think that if you see Bell and Clark kind of continue to play at a high rate, that's obviously excellent, but that still doesn't, you know, solve the question of what you just talked about, like the fact that they've lost such a number of linebackers and so much talent that you know, what happens if Clark has to come off the field or Bell has to come off the field? It's like you're looking at a Malik Jefferson, or I guess now maybe starting next week, a Rashaan Evans situation coming onto the field. So, and we just haven't seen anything from Rashaan Evans. I mean, obviously he was just a guy that was on the street, so you don't have like super high hopes that he's going to be great. But I do think that as it stands right now, that's the position that I have the most concerns about. Although even though there are 2 guys at the top that have proven to you that they can play, we need to see a lot more consistent. Well, we just need to see more of it. You know, just there's very little experience. We don't know how fluky that performance was. Can they, you know, repeat it again next week? That'll be the kind of question.
I think linebackers probably the group for me. I was tempted to say running back just because I don't think they've got great play out of running back except for our guy Rico Dowdle. We didn't even talk about this, but I thought it was interesting that Deuce Vaughn was a healthy scratch this week. They brought up Malik Davis to play ahead of him.
Do you think that that's surprising at this point?
It's not surprising based on what we've seen on the field. It is surprising that after,
like, if you were to tell that to preseason Marcus,
exactly.
yeah.
But I mean, what we saw from the first 4 games of the season is basically anytime Deuce was on the field, it was a negative play. Now, that doesn't mean it's always going to be that way, but it felt like things were moving a little too fast for Deuce Vaughn early in the year.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't able to kind of use his superpower. and if you're not like quicker than everyone, you're 5'6", and
but it doesn't mean it can't change.
Yeah, no. I think it's just happening a little fast for him.
Yes.
That's what it is. I think he just needs some time to get his feet under him, because again, like the quickness and the processing speed, like that's your superpower. Yeah. So you can't be out there if you can't do that, because you're 5'6", 160 pounds. So like, yeah. And we've seen Malik Davis actually produce in the NFL. Like, so I could understand why there was a little bit hesitancy to kind of put Vaughn out there. And I'm hoping that, you know, after another week of kind of getting things under, getting used to the speed of the game a little bit more, Vaughn will hopefully get more opportunities. Cause the Cowboys, I mean, it's a good point. The running back room is not great.
They
right
need
now.
more from that group right now.
Yeah, and they need more from Pollard. You know,
Yeah.
like if Pollard hasn't had it's the run game overall.
It's not
has
all
been
his
great.
fault.
It's not
but
all his fault.
They
but
need more from him.
They still need more from him. So yeah, I think wide receiver. I think running back. I'm sorry, is a room that definitely could be mentioned here.
Strongest group.
Defensive line,
edge
rusher,
edge rusher. You have Micah Parsons is having a defensive player of the year type of season, and he might not be your best defensive end this season so far.
Yeah. Shout out to John Owning, never gave up, never lost faith in D Law the God. So
I got another one for you.
Yeah,
how about the specialists?
Wow, what a difference a few months makes, huh? Wow.
I think this is Wood. Brandon Aubrey has not missed a field goal yet. He's been perfect. I thought Brian Anger was awesome in the Chargers game. I mean, he flipped the field several times in that game. I was actually watching that game with my uncle, who's a diehard Steeler fan. Shocker. And he's like, wow, that punter is amazing for Dallas. And it's true. He had some unbelievable punts. I think the specialists have been outstanding this year.
I'm not going to sit here and say I told you so, because I didn't. And
Go ahead, you can.
No, I didn't. And the reason I didn't is because I wanted to again point out that we are not safe. All right. Do not think because your kicker is making kicks right now that it's safe or that he's good. You know what I'm saying? Just enjoy it while it's working, because there's going to be a day when it's not working. And then you're going to say, why didn't the Cowboys do something about kicker at the time? Like they have.
Why did they go out and sign a veteran like Brett Maher? Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, I just want everyone to remember this next year when this plan that everyone thought there's no way could work worked. And so that's just the nature of trying to find a kicker in the NFL.
By the way, Brett Maher plays for the Rams now. I don't believe he's missed a field goal inside of 50 yards yet this season.
It's all coming to a head next week, guys.
All right, that is it for today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On Cowboys your first listen every single day. We'll be back on Monday to get you ready for that Rams game. We're going to do a little special show on Monday. We're going to do a rookie watch show going over the entire rookie class of the Cowboys. We talked a little bit about Mazi. We'll continue to talk about him on Monday, so make sure you tune in for that. We are free and available on all platforms. Go check out Landon on Twitter at McCoolBCB. I'm Marcus _Mosier. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the bye week. We'll see you right back here on Monday.